Chuck Todd. Here is a brief video.
An informed public means a strong republic, and Meet the Press is dedicated to that cause.
To be actually in control of your party, you must be a well-trained politician.
I am not communist.
We have waited for well now 345 years for our basic constitutional and God-given right.
A strong Israel is not only the best guarantee for peace, but is the best incentive for peace.
We do hope that some common ground can be found.
You're against terrorism?
Definitely I am against.
You're proud of the shooting up of civilians in a hotel in Israel?
Could you push the nuclear button?
I can do whatever is necessary.
Were you involved in the president's decision to sell arms to Iran?
I am not ever going to discuss what I talked to the president about.
Do you really believe that Dan Quayle is the best qualified person who could be on that ticket?
I think in the long run it's going to prove to be a good choice. Would you be willing to retract or apologize for some of the things you said?
I have nothing to apologize for.
Senator John McCain, thanks for joining us and sharing your views.
I haven't had so much fun since my last interrogation.
Have your views evolved?
Men marrying men, women marrying women, and heterosexual men and women marrying men all are entitled to the same exact rights.
Alternative facts are not facts. They're falsehoods.
Here's what I think Assad's telling Trump by flying from this space. F you.
You used the initials, but I think that's a first for Meet the Press.
I have no doubt that I can beat Mr. Nixon.
Watergate matter should have been handled properly. Apart from the fact that it was wrong, it was stupid.
Oftentimes, simple truth is not understood.
Neither I nor the American people would support the sending of an American team to Moscow.
Some people, when you say the word conservative, automatically think you're talking about a monster who eats his young.
Jumping on rhetoric seems to be a favorite game here.
I don't think that the president gets anywhere by making any comments on the press.
First of all, I expected to find the weapons.
When I take executive action, I want to make sure that it's sustainable.
In 4 years, you're going to be interviewing me, and you're going to say, what a great job you've done, President Trump.
As long as the press of America is free, America will be free.
There was a time when Meet the Press was the only place you could watch reporters ask leaders tough questions. Well, NBC News started something here, and it's a legacy we're most proud of. If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
Now you can see why we are so proud of Chuck Todd and Meet the Press.
Is it okay if we use the staff here uses the bowl, kind of like the Stanley Cup, we'll all have our glasses of wine out of it on there. Andrea Mitchell once again proving she is the hardest working person at NBC News. Not up here once, but twice. Thank you, Andrea. I always say you're easily become one of my great friends and mentors and partners in so many ways. First and foremost, I want to thank the Rtdna for the devotion to the industry, for your commitment to what you're trying to do tonight, and for honoring Meet the Press. And so let me say this, on behalf of Martha Roundtree, Ned Brooks, Lawrence Spivak, Bill Monroe, Roger Mudd, Marvin Cowell, Chris Wallace, Garrett Utley, Tim Russert, Tom Brokaw, David Gregory, myself, and that great team over there, thank you. I'm ashamed to admit, but I've always sort of taken the freedom of the press and the idea of freedom of the press for granted, at least in my lifetime. There's never been a question of the press's sanctity, its importance, its place in our democracy, what it means, why it matters. And yeah, we're having a robust discussion about that these days. What's interesting is the most frequent feedback I'm getting lately from viewers is this concern for our profession. For our classification as fake news, for undermining the truth. But I do want to underscore something that David said. This isn't new. The criticism is just a little bit louder and a little more noticeable. The truth is, what Meet the Press was built upon, now more than 70 years, the broadcast sets the stage for holding public figures accountable. And what's kind of nice is when you think about Meet the Press, the idea of a press conference, asking questions in front of a camera. Now we do it, we take it for granted, we do it every day, but that's the thing I'm most proud of being involved with Meet the Press, because it's the cornerstone of what modern political journalism and the great journalism that's being acknowledged tonight got started, especially when it comes to holding leaders accountable. And the beauty is, I'm not an idiot. I know that it can't be just a Sunday show. So we've decided, you know, if it's a day, it's Meet the Press, except Saturdays. We've decided to only work on Saturdays and take all the Saturday nights away from my great staff. But Meet the Press, we don't want to think of it as a Sunday show per se. It is an idea that is evolved from radio to television, from a half hour to an hour, under the guardianship of those 12 moderators that I humbly accept this award on their behalf. The idea that Americans deserve answers from their leaders, that the First Amendment must not only be defended, but championed. It's an idea that has never wavered. So, as I look out in the room, I am reminded of our collective power. And as a press corps, we are not only each other's allies, we are the American people's ally. That's ultimately what we're here to do. I love that phrase, comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. There's some truth to that. One thing we're not is the opposition. We've never tried to be a part of the political debate, but people want to drag us into it. We shouldn't take the bait. We're simply a voice of truth. There's no balance, there's just fairness and truth. And a true voice, and the truth is what we all need to be hearing right now. A voice that no matter how many disparaging tweets or calls of fake news, we can't let it be silenced. So, to quote the great wisdom of Uncle Ben to Peter Parker, with great power comes great responsibility. And this is something I think we all need to be mindful of. It wasn't that long ago that the American public lost a little faith in us when it came to our coverage of the Iraq War. We can debate among ourselves about the coverage of it, but the public decided we didn't do a good job covering the Iraq War. And it is hard to push back at them on that. This time, we can't mess this up. This is what we're doing now. This is our Iraq War. And if we blow this, if the public loses more faith in us if we don't cover this moment correctly, then we will have a problem when it comes to the press, and we will have a problem when it comes to our own credibility. So for the future of journalism to thrive, we are all accountable and all responsible for each other's reputation. And there's no doubt some want us to fail. We can't let them. Our collective conduct, our collective reporting, all of our sourcing, all of our tweets, they are reflective of not just me as an individual, NBC News or Meet the Press, but of the entire press as an institution. Nielsen cannot be our senior producer. And viral can't be our, and the idea of Mr. Viral can't be a guiding light either. Rather, it must be our high standards that David talked about so eloquently for fairness and credibility. It's all we got into this business to do. So let's continue to set that high standard. Let's realize that we each have each other's reputations in our hands. And so when you're thinking about that moment of whether to be a little snarky, remember that that tweet could end up being, we're all going to be judged by it. Or we're all going to be judged by that snarky comment you made. And it only hurts all of our collective credibility. So if there is one thing that I wanted to leave here with a message tonight, it is that. Because I think there's plenty of people trying to undermine what we do for a living. There's plenty of people that are motivated to undermine us for their own gain. political, financial, or whatever. Just keep that in mind. We just need to be fair, credible, honest, and most importantly, transparent. Because I believe in the 21st century, transparency is the new objectivity. And I think if people see how hard we work, see how hard we try to make sure that whatever we're airing is the truth as we think we know it at that moment. I'm not going to say we don't make mistakes, but to the best of our ability that we're telling you everything we know. And maybe the best thing we can do is show our work a little bit more. Because, hey, we are in this day and age of social media, and I think there is an expectation that they see everything. So let's show our work. Let's prove to the world what we all know in this room, which is there's some tremendous journalism happening and taking place right now. Let's let it flourish. Let's support it. Let's let it thrive. And let's keep protecting that First Amendment. Thank you very much.